All right, so I'm here with Tom Milleren and his John Deere 4000 here. What year is it, you think?
71.
71. Diesel synchro.
Diesel synchro. Yep.
And you've had her for a long time.
Bought it the spring of 76 with my dad, and we were together but separate as far as our enterprises, farming enterprises, and we bought it with 516 plow, semi-mounted plow, and it was our horse tractor alongside our 4230 that Dad had purchased 3 years earlier.
So what year, so you were farming with your dad but separate from your dad?
Yes, that makes any sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what year did you start farming on your own?
March of 75.
So about a year later after you started farming.
Yep.
So what did the 4000 replace then for you?
Well, we just added it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had, what did I say, four small tractors that I bought a farmer out that wasn't big enough to do what we wanted to do, and we started renting land and just needed more horse.
So you had some Massey's and an Oliver, you said, right?
Yeah, I had a Massey, an Oliver, and a B John Deere. And we actually have two Masseys, 65 and a 35.
So your dad was a Deere guy though, right?
Actually, my dad started out as a case guy.
Really?
Case, we had a Super 400, and then we actually had a Massey first, a little one, then the case, and then what was it, about 66 or 67, he bought a 3020. That's when he started going Deere.
Okay. And you had no desire to keep going with the Massey or the Oliver,
No.
just as soon go Deere.
Yep, that was a lot of power in a small package, and Deere was known for their hydraulics and all that good stuff.
And she was pulling five. So did you get new 516s at the time?
No, it was a used 516s. Yeah, she'd haul that pretty good.
Well, you got some wheel weights on there. Did it have a lot of wheel weights back then to pull that?
No, we just ran fluid back then. Them have been added. We don't run fluid anymore, so.
Okay. Okay. She did her pretty good though.
Yep. Oh yeah. We might have tinked with the pump a little bit, but you can see the glow in the sky at night. So.
She ran strong then.
Yep.
So where did it come from?
Bought it through Durham, but it come out of Mondovi. Mondovi had sold it new. It actually had an M&W turbo on it, brand new when it was sold. And then when they traded it back in, they took it off. And we bought it just as it sits here.
Did you know that it had an M&W on it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you weren't nervous about...
No.
You never thought about putting one on it yourself then?
Well, you always think, but... Yeah.
Okay, so if it's splitting time between you and your dad, did it spend most of the time at your farm then, probably?
Yeah, well, we lived real close together here, yeah. Yeah, I used it to haul manure some winters when I moved on to this farm in 78, and in the spring, in summer it was all over, but yeah, in the wintertime and stuff, I kept it most of the time.
So your dad was dairy farming.
Yep.
And he was doing some custom work.
Yeah, he started doing custom work with a chopper, with a 400 case, single with a case chopper, one row. Oh, the tractor was a 57 model, so it would have been in the late 50s. Did a couple neighbors. Him and another neighbor actually went together, and Dad had the chopper, and the neighbor had the blower and two false end gate boxes. And he ran that until, I don't know, somewhere in the 60s, he got a hold of a number 6 John Deere chopper, and ran that until he got a 38 John Deere, and then ran that with the 4230 usually. Well, I guess I should take that back. Ran it with the 400 case or the 3020, and then they had the 38. I don't think we ever had a 3800. 38, we had a snapper head on it for doing snaplage.
Okay.
2-row snaplage.
Boy,
That's when he had 4230.
That'd make her bark, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
38. That was a big chopper back then.
Yeah, yeah. And then Dad bought one of the first self-propels in the area in 1977. July 7th of 1977.
So
And we ran that. We think, I don't know, it was like it's over 5,000 hours I had on that.
so you were doing custom silo filling and
Yep, yep.
So then this probably did that haul wagons or run
Oh,
the
yeah.
blower or
Both, whatever.
okay. But he's milking cows and then you're milking cows.
Yep.
So you graduate high school and
74.
yep, and you go to start farming.
Yep.
So you rented a farm first.
Rented a farm for 3 years, 3 miles west of here, and then I moved here and rented this one for 2 years in 78 and purchased it in 80.
Perfect timing to buy a farm, right?
Perfect time to buy a farm. Get your financial things figured out.
What do you say to the guys that say land could never go down?
Yes, it can.
You found that out, didn't you?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was the will to do it and stay here, I guess, has paid dividends. So, a lot of people threw the towel in, but I don't blame them for doing that either. I mean, it's tough.
Well, you just wanted to farm, right?
I guess that's what you call it. I always tell everybody I've never had a job, so never punched a clock in my life. So,
Because at the end of the day, if land values, as long as you're making a living at it and got your stuff, does it really matter to you if land is worth, you know,
right, exactly
what it's worth? I mean, your net worth is a number on paper, but as
Yep.
long as you can farm, you're.
Yep. So it's definitely.
So moved down here, and then on this farm here, you rented it for 2 years, and then you had a chance to buy it.
Yep.
The other farm you didn't have a chance to even buy.
No. No. Yeah.
Which, this is probably a better farm down here in the valley,
Well,
anyways, isn't it?
That's one reason we wanted to move down here, out of the valley. So they're in the valley here, so a little better dairy setup at the time, even though it wasn't that good, but it's better than I had.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing in western Wisconsin. If you're in a valley, you probably have the guys up on top of the hills topsoil down in the valley. So it's probably pretty good land.
Oh yeah, it's good land.
Just a lot of times the valleys just need a little bit of drainage, but they tend to be
Yep. So
tends to be pretty good land.
yep.
So now you buy the farm in 80. How many cows were you milking?
Oh, we were in that 45, 50 area. So
And helping your dad with custom work with this and
yep.
running. Were you running some extra acres too, a little
Oh yeah.
cash cropping?
Yeah, there was, as some of the smaller farms closed their doors on the barn, they rented their land out. We'd pick up 80 here, 50 there. So, well, I think it's one of the first few years we had to plow on here, we were plowing 400 acres a year with it with a 5-bottom plow. That was enough plowing.
Yeah, that takes some time.
Wonder where we found the time to do it. No.
Yeah, especially on an open station.
And I can still hear.
That is lucky. So then was this so the 4,000 and the 4230 were the big horses at the time.
Yep.
How long were they the biggest tractors for?
Well, it's probably when I got rid of my cows in 91, we still use these for a year or two, and then it's at 95, I got a 7400 John Deere front wheel drive, and I was doing custom planning and using that tractor a couple of years, and then we went to the 7710, I believe, and
Because you were pulling a 6-row. You pulled a 6-row with this, right?
yep,
7,000.
yep.
Then you went to a 7,200.
72. I bought a 7200 in 93.
That was vacuum.
That was a vacuum planter. Yep. And actually, me and a neighbor went together a little bit. And I used his tractor on that new planter because he had a new tractor, and we swapped work that way. That was one way to get through the hard times, is work with your neighbors. A lot of people wouldn't have did that if you didn't have good neighbors. But then in 95, I went to the 7400. I had a 12-row behind that one. Ran that a number of years.
two-wheel drive 7400.
Nope.
That was front wheel assist. Okay.
Front wheel assist. So, yeah.
But so basically for almost 20 years, this was kind of your.
Yeah, it was the main horse, you know. Yeah.
And that just kind of reflects of the times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know.
Yeah.
I once had an old farmer tell me one time about a tractor he bought. He bought a tractor in 1980, and he said, "Boy, it's been a good tractor." He says, and that's good because I paid for it 3 times over between refinancing and trying to keep things going. And but like this farm here, you didn't have a bank mortgage on this farm then. You land contract?
Land contract, yeah.
So that probably helped.
Oh, it all does. That's neighbors helping neighbors.
Yeah. So good neighbors. So you had a pretty tight neighborhood around here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Still end up, you do some custom work for a lot of these neighbors.
Yep, the next generation or the next generation of them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty important. That.
Yeah. No, I always said that. I think the first repair bill we had on this was a clutch, and I think it was $910 in and out of the shop. Well, that'd have been about 12% of what it was worth new. I said these new tractors nowadays, it's pretty easy to put 25,000 into them on some kind of a driveline job, but that's about 10% of the cost of a new one. So
right. So
it's all relative.
It is. It is. I mean,
just a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and that people say, I think, people say, well, I think small farms will come back or this or that. And I go, I don't think small farms come back. I think just small farms get bigger. So what was a small farm 30 years ago is,
yeah, exactly.
It's all relative there too. Mm-hmm. When you quit milking cows, what year did you quit milking cows?
91, May 16th.
What was the decision to get on the cows?
Well, it was, I guess one thing I always said when I was in the barn, I was thinking about outside working, and I was outside, I was thinking about the barn, so I had specialization, just needed to update, do a lot of updates on the dairy end, and had an opportunity, I guess, being exposed to custom farming, to take it and run with it, and never dreamed I'd get where it is today.
Yeah, you guys plant and combine.
Yeah, thousands of acres now, so.
Yeah.
It's just relative.
Well, right. Well, at the time, if you were moldboard plowing 400 acres, that was a lot of moldboard plowing.
Yep. Yeah.
So things grow as they go, but it probably helped in this area because when you think back 50 years ago, how many dairies were around here and how many guys still milk cows today in your immediate area? There's
not very many. About 2 left in this valley, and there used to probably be 24.
So all those acres, which those guys grew corn on a lot of those farms too, but I would say probably 60% of the acres that were, well, you could say that 60% of the acres were probably in forage crops back then.
Oh, that too, yeah.
And those have all been replaced with corn and soybeans.
Soybeans, yeah, definitely.
So that caused a big demand for.
Well, no-till farming was a big. And when I bought that corn planter, actually the first corn planter I had no-till equipment on it. We weren't quite as extensive then, but from '93 on, a lot of this cropland you see out here has never been tilled. It's been no-tilled, so that's changed the whole geography of the valleys here, and so yeah, it was.
Which on these hills, pasture forages were thought to be the only thing you could do, and no-till.
There was always that year you had to seed them down. It would always rain the day you seeded it down. Watch it.
And just wash gullies off. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that whole, dynamic of farming in our area has changed a lot, and that, and
how the custom farming's changed too. I can remember my dad used to go. He might have 3 5-gallon cans of diesel fuel to take to the tractor for the day's work. Now we take a 500-gallon fuel barrel, and that ain't enough every day.
Right. Well, I'd be willing to bet. I mean, back then, so The combine you were doing custom work originally with your dad was a 6600 side hill, right?
You bet.
Was that a 404 or 329?
404.
Okay.
Non-turbo that one was.
Yep, but it was a later one if it had a 404, right?
Yep, yep.
Well, 404 is probably going to drink a little less fuel than the S series because you got an S7. You got 770s.
Yep, and yep.
They'll probably drink a little more fuel than the old
yeah.
6600 will.
Yeah, yeah.
But for the acres you get done on the fuel, it's probably not
Probably just as cheaper, yeah.
right. So, but yeah, you cover a lot
You're putting
more.
twice as much crop through the combine too.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that 6600. What year would that have been? Was
I
that
believe it was a 74.
okay?
So it had hydro and air conditioning and everything for its.
And
That's about when that started coming out, the air and combines and stuff. But
you guys ran that combine for
over 5,000 hours that on it. Yeah, they might have had 1,000 on when we bought it, but yeah, it was 5,500 or something when we got rid of it.
ran that a long time.
Yeah.
Which that's people didn't buy equipment back then through
No.
the 80s and stuff the way they do now.
No.
But
Yeah.
that's all right. So you sold the cows, the custom work kind of grew. Some of your customers were dairy farmers and then
Oh yeah.
started to just crop farm.
Crop farm, and then when they quit crop farming, I had a chance to rent their land, and a couple of them I had a chance to buy their land, so created opportunity, I guess, and I was lucky enough to capitalize on some of it.
So do you feel, so if you wouldn't have sold the cows and you would have just kept milking cows, do you feel like getting rid of, because guys had dairy cows for steady income, right? That was why you,
Well, that was the thought, I always said I got it out of milking so my friends could milk longer.
but do you feel like by getting rid of the cows that maybe that helped you, it kind of forced you to do more with the custom work and that kind of stuff where it
Well,
helped you grow?
definitely did. Yeah, you could specialization. I kind of like machinery anyway, so. And I always said my dad, he let me make my own mistakes, probably more than I should have made. But so, if you're gonna run it, you gotta learn how to fix it. That's what he said when he bought the first snowmobile. He says, "I'll buy a snowmobile, but I'm not fixing it. You're fixing it."
That's hard to believe today that it's February and there's snowmobile trails aren't.
Yeah, no, this is unreal.
Yeah, because you guys have, historically your family's done a lot of maple syrup too.
You bet. Yep.
Maple trees are starting to run and
Yeah, this is started in 1956, so whatever that figures out to be. So
a long time.
Yeah.
Almost 70 years now.
Yeah, 60. Yep, he's 68 years this year, right?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to think that. So, yeah, and the family still does it.
You bet.
But so now the 4000 didn't just work. You played with it a little too.
Oh, yeah, we did. We stripped her down a little bit and one tractor pulling with it. I guess, like Sue says, we worked with it and we played with it. Yeah.
So what'd you do to it when you were pulling? A little pump work?
Yeah, I stayed strictly stock, no turbo. We cranked the pump as much as we get. We get it dynoed at 126 non-turbo, which I understood was about as high as you can get with them.
Yep.
And we'd get her down to 7,000 pound, run 7, 9, 10 once in a while, depending on the classes.
So you'd put a narrow front on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then press steel wheels on the back.
Yeah.
So a 4000 would get 7,000, where a 4020 just.
Yeah, you had to stretch a little bit more out of her somehow. Batteries off maybe or different. Yeah.
And back then were you pulling against like Howard Larson? And...
Oh yeah, there was a good bunch of guys, and yeah, we just lost I call it the Mondovi Mafia back there, the Jeff Feedy.
Yep.
Hats off to him. It was fun watching him. He's probably first time I seen him pull, he was probably 14 years old, but them guys just had it in their blood back there. Yeah.
Oh, to this day, still a lot of pulling tractors have been built down there in Mondovi at Mondovi Tractor, and
Yeah.
so did you travel much with it? I suppose back then within 50 miles, there was a lot of pulls.
Yeah. Yeah, about, I think the farthest we went was St. Croix Falls. And Gilmington was a big one, and
Pepin,
Pepin and Menominee.
Mondovi.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Did you ever get up to the Pierce County Fair?
oh, man.
Well, in farm stock, that was probably only open to Pierce County.
Yeah, it was. Well, I don't
If
think
I
I ever
remember
did pull up there. Oh.
Because,
Yep.
yeah, the open classes, that's when you'd see, Heitman and the guys from Mondovi pulling there. They had that 4440 that they had turned into a big puller. And
Yeah.
how'd she do?
Oh, we got some first place trophies. I think the only place I never got, well, I don't know if that's ever any of them got a first. What didn't get a first was in Gilmington. I think I lost first by 1 inch. But no, otherwise, no, I didn't. It's usually in the top 3 somewhere.
So then were you having to swap the rims and the front end like in between during the week so you could farm with it then?
No, usually we were probably turned into a blower tractor.
Okay.
So yeah.
That pump, but you were running the same pump. You weren't swapping the pump out or nothing.
No.
Okay. So then after all that, did she need to be overhauled then?
I think we've only overhauled it once. I can't. It's been a dang good motor.
How many hours do you think are on it?
Well, I think it's. I'd have to look up there. It's under 10. I know that.
Okay. And then, so other than that, just one overhaul probably, and then a clutch, you said? Or a
I
couple
probably
clutches?
had a couple clutches in it, and yeah, that's a few hydraulic leaks, I'm sure. Yeah, just a yard tractor now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know it's reminiscent, I guess, sitting around the yard, when we worked with it, you get and put it in 5th gear and you thought you were in a gear to go somewhere. You get on it now and you're either putting it in 6th or 7th because you just ain't going fast enough. So I don't know if the world's just going that much faster or what.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember what you paid for it?
I'm thinking right around 7, somewhere
Okay.
in there, 73. So I don't think it was much higher than that.
Because they were probably only 9 something new, weren't they? They were cheaper than the 4020.
Yeah, it was. I think it had like 600-700 hours on it. We got it, and then of course the plow come with it. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but I almost think the same year. No, I think maybe it was the next year we actually started chisel plowing some. I know we bought a John Deere 12-foot chisel plow, 1,600 were they? Brand new. $1,830, something like that it was.
Really? Well, you must have ran duals. I see she's got eyes on her for band duals.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And this was this always 2 remotes on this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Diff lock. Yeah.
So for a 4000, it had a few options on it. Because they were sold as a value tractor, but
yeah, it turned out to be pretty popular for deer.
I think in some parts of the country they're somewhat rare, but around here there was quite a few.
Yep.
Even a couple of power shifts around, which is rare on these.
Yeah.
But they happen. Now, do you remember when the 4000 came out? Because you grew up not too far from the John Deere dealership, and you kind of remember like the first 4520 when that.
Yeah, that was. I guess we bought the tractor we thought we needed, but you always had a keen eye for the big tractor at that time, and I actually did pick up one at an auction. I don't know, 10 years ago. Just to say I had one. So.
And now they were massive when you were young, and you look at it now, and it does the same kind of work this does, right?
Yeah.
But when that, so you probably remember the new generation.
Oh yeah, I remember them coming into the dealers with the cardboard over them, so you couldn't see what they looked like. And They had the big debut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember John Deere Day.
Oh,
Where
yeah. No,
have that.
that was a national holiday. You know, go to the theater.
Yeah, now they just don't do that kind of
No.
stuff anymore. Less farmers.
Yeah, gotta go Joe. He was the first safety guy in
Yep.
the movies. Gotta go Joe.
I remember. You can watch those on YouTube now. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find them. It's pretty fun to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after all them years, really haven't had to put a ton of money into this then, to speak
No,
of.
I mean just regular wear and tear, you know.
So is this? So you've owned, you know, with doing the custom work and stuff, you've owned quite a few tractors now and that.
Yeah, we're obviously up into the large scale ones now, larger scale, but
This probably a favorite though.
oh, I mean for everything is so well specialized, so you need what you need, you know. I mean, you can't even put the corn planter in the shed with this now.
Yeah, I suppose she won't run the exact emerge, will she?
No, oh no. So, yeah, it's just, or even hooking onto a giant gravity box, you wouldn't even want to do that anymore. Or a big, you know.
Unless
big
she's
ones.
empty.
Yeah, it's empty, is right.
Even the grain cart empty would probably be enough for that drawbar, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Once in a while when we got real desperate and we'd moving grain in the off season, we'd hook a grain cart on and didn't want to move it very far just to put it on there to run it, to load it and unload it into a truck.
Yeah. And probably make her work a little bit too.
Oh yeah.
You know, where,
Yeah.
yeah, because this on a blower, so you're blowing up a lot of 80 footers and stuff
Yep.
like that with it.
Yeah.
What'd you run for a blower?
Oh boy. Our first ones was a 48-inch Gale. Then Dad bought a John Deere 60-inch made by Cool, wasn't it?
They had the shaker pan.
Yes. And then later years we got into the red blowers that were they 56 or were they?
There was a 56 and a 600. So a 56 inch and a 60 inch.
Yeah. So well, there's got to be less and less of them on the market, so it got slimmed down. There wasn't much picking anymore. Yeah.
Well, I bet that worked the heck out of her when it.
Oh yeah, you can make her bark whenever you get the grain and feed in it. I actually got an old relic for the neighborhood, I guess, across the road. It's a 36-inch John Deere blower. But actually, that you could run that on 1,000 RPM too. But actually, they geared it down a little bit, I think. The neighbor up here was one of the first ones to start corn silage in the 63, 64 in a bigger 20 by 50 silos, which was big then.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, 20 footer is big if you were pitching it.
yeah, they had two of them. Well, they put on loaders in them, but yeah, they basically went to a total ration. And I don't know how I ended up with it, but I just was in the shed the other day and I go see it sitting down around the corner. I thought I cleaned up my junk, but I still got one around. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back now, would you have done anything different in the way you farmed? Because it's 50 years. This is your 50th year then, right?
Yeah, it will be, won't it? What did I do anything different? I don't know. I guess you trials and errors and getting through it, and I mean, you just got to have a vision and keep going for it. And they always say set your goals. I said, oh, my goals change day to day sometimes.
Sometimes it's just to make the next round. You can make another crop, you're doing all right.
Yeah, make your goal.
Yeah.
No, it's.
Yeah, I don't know if we're better off or not than we were years ago.
Oh,
but
I think. Yeah, it just depends on which.
the work is easier maybe, but it's different kind of work.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You know, and you've got another generation working with you,
Yep.
so that probably makes it a lot more enjoyable, don't
Well,
it?
it's fun to watch them when we went playing.
So there's with the 6-row 7,000 dry fertilizer with you had saddle tanks. You were putting herbicide on.
Yep.
And there it is with a setup for pulling. Was that a homemade trailer?
Yep.
Okay.
I bought it homemade, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you didn't buy goosenecks back then at the store, did you?
No. Yeah.
But anything else? The
tractor, I guess.
well, is that you pulling right there?
Yeah, coming back on a pole or something. I don't know.
Yep.
And then,
there's that combine that you
yeah, tore apart and
put new sides in.
sitting on the trailer.
Oh yeah, there it is. 81
Yeah.
pulling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Here's some work clothes hauling manure backed up to the barn cleaner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the ROPS on there, did you put that on in the 90s when they were selling them ROPS? They had that program at John Deere.
I don't remember exactly. We just went up and bought it.
Because I think if I remember in the 90s, they were selling them cheap.
Yeah, I know. They used to have the yellow top on them, but we took that off right away. They're just noisier.
Echoed.
Yeah,
Too bad.
Yeah. So no. Yeah, no. That's about. Wife did a good job taking pictures.
Well, it's good that you got those memories today. So that's the.
Yeah. No,
Well, we had the international cab over with the.
guy up by Lund.
Okay.
I did one of my. I always saw the story with him. He had, I don't know, it was like a 400 or 500 acre job. Let's sit down and see if we can get it done. Nowadays, when do you want to start?
Yeah.
That's how it's changed.
Right? Well, with the 9500 and a 6-row,
Yeah.
that was a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it just, yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's pretty neat that you took all those pictures, that you got all that to remember by. I wish I had a lot more pictures. I wish I had videos like this talking to my grandpa and my great-grandpa,
Yeah.
that history's going, but yeah. Well, thanks, Tom.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.